I'm Terri Savelle. I'm so glad you're watching today. I want to talk to you about some simple goal-setting techniques that actually work. You know, what you do right now sets the course for the rest of your year. In fact, one of the greatest things you can do to move from where you are to where you want to be is goal setting. This is a practice that I've applied in my life that has absolutely changed my life. In fact, Lou Holtz said, if you're bored with life, if you don't get up every morning with a burning desire to do something, you don't have enough goals. Well, a lot of people set goals, but they don't achieve their goals. In fact, statistics say 25% of people abandon their New Year's goals the first week. 25%. 60% do so within 6 months. Another statistic says that the average person and the old Terri make the same resolutions 10 different times without success. So 10 different times year after year setting the same types of goals and not seeing the fulfillment of them. In fact, Time magazine listed the most commonly broken New Year's goals as this. Now see if you identify with some of these goals. They were lose weight, get fit, quit smoking, learn something new, eat healthier, get out of debt, save money, spend more time with the family, travel to new places, be less stressed, volunteer, and drink less. Now, those goals I never knew for years, but those types of goals are a setup for failure. So, you may have heard that phrase, New Year's goals, those are things that go in one year and out the other. Well, another statistic says that 93% of New Year's goals go unfulfilled. 93%. Well, I want you to move into that 7% category who achieves their goals. And I'm going to show you how in a real simple way. Well, you know, Brian Tracy, he's an expert on the topic of goal setting. And what he said was he's traveled, to 60 different countries, spoken to 5 million people, and this is what he said he does. He said he introduces people to their new best friend. He passes out a spiral notebook to every person in the room. Then he says to them, for the next 30 days, write down your top 10 goals in this spiral notebook and write them in the present tense. He said, write it down each day without looking back to what you wrote the day before. Do this for 30 days without fail. He said, within 30 days, your life will be transformed. Then he went on to say, they come back to me time after time and say they have experienced more progress in 30 days than in the previous 3 years. Now think about that. And you know what? I can say the same thing for my life. When I began practicing this in a real simple way, just simple techniques, it transformed my life. I went from just wishing things would change to living my dreams. Well, I want to break that apart for you. And let me just remind you, Proverbs 29:18 says, where there is no vision, the people perish. You've got to have a vision, a dream, a goal that drives you. So, number 1, get a notebook and a pen. Get a notebook and a pen. Now, I'm talking about going old school. Don't use your iPad. Don't use your phone. Get an actual pen and paper, preferably a little spiral notebook, and start putting your dreams and goals in here. Now, the reason why they've actually proven that when you physically write it down, you're more engaged in the process. You begin to think more. You begin to really and truly get clear on what you want to accomplish. Number 2 is to imagine that it's December 31st of this year, and you look back over the year and you say, this has been the most amazing, most phenomenal year of my life. Now, what needs to happen for you to say something that bold, something that, extravagant, for you to say, this has been the most amazing year of my life? Now, what needs to happen? Think about that. Does that mean that you lost a certain amount of weight? How much weight? Does it mean that you ran a marathon? Does it mean that you paid off a loan or a student loan or a second mortgage? Does it mean that you paid off a credit card that just, maybe you've been dragging it on year after year? Does it mean that you went on your dream vacation to Honolulu, Hawaii? Does it mean that you finished 2 semesters of college? What does it mean for you to say, this has been the most amazing year of my life? So really think that through. Number 3 is to write it down, is to take the time to write it down. Something powerful happens when you grab a pen and paper and you truly write your dreams and goals. Now, my point is that Most people know this, and if you've heard me for any length of time, you've heard me say you need to write your dreams and goals. However, most people still don't do it. But a surefire way to fail at achieving your goals is to not write them down, period. Less than 3% actually write their dreams and goals. Dr. Gail Matthews, she did research on goal setting, and this is what she discovered. By the simple fact of writing your goals down, it gives you a 42% greater probability of achieving the goal. That's crazy. A 42% probability of achieving your goal just by the mere fact that you write them down. So be sure they're in writing. Number 4 is to write your top 10 goals. Now, the reason we say that is because they've actually proven that 7 to 10 goals is the sweet spot. That's where you need to stay, in that 7 to 10 number. You go beyond that and it just gets overwhelming. I mean, I used to write like 45 goals I want to accomplish this year. You think I achieved them? I didn't even know what they were. I didn't know where they were. It was so overwhelming, I didn't even know where to start. But when you stay in that 7 to 10 category, you're able to stay focused. And number 5 is to write them down for 30 days straight. Now, like Brian Tracy said, write them down every day and don't look back to what you wrote the day before. If you don't remember them, if you just remember 5, that's fine, because those 5 were the most important to you. And you know what? It may even be more successful for you to achieve those 5 goals or 3 goals this year than to achieve all 10. Because, for example, paying off that $7,000 MasterCard may be a really big accomplishment, because then next year you can start saving more money. So don't get overwhelmed with the number, too few, but don't go beyond 10. Try to stay between 7 and 10. And you know what? I want to encourage you right now to subscribe to this podcast, because this is how you get started achieving your goals. But you've got to stay motivated all year long to reach those goals, to stay, glued to the fulfillment of those goals. So subscribe to the podcast, follow people who are going to keep you motivated. And Viktor Frankl, he's the one who wrote that book, Man's Search for Meaning, all about, his time in Nazi concentration camps in World War II. And he said he began to research why people survived. And this is what he discovered. The people who made it through, they weren't the most fit, they weren't the most intelligent, they were the ones most focused on a goal. Well, that's pretty, devastating, his surrounding, his environment, but they were the ones most focused. In fact, Darren Hardy, he said he has interviewed the most successful people in the world, and he found 2 traits in common. Number 1, they're committed to personal growth, and number 2, they're committed to putting their goals in writing. Well, it's time for you to move into that success extraordinary category by getting serious about your vision, your dreams, your goals. So I would love for you to send me your top 10 goals. Make a list of your top 10, send them to me. Me and my team, we want to look at your goals, pray over them, and join our faith with yours that this is going to be the most phenomenal year you've ever had. So, 3 S's. Send me your goals, subscribe to the podcast, and share this with a friend so y'all can get on this growth track together, achieve your goals, and make this the best year you've ever had. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week. I believe that what you do at the beginning of the year sets the tone for the rest of the year. That's why I'm excited to invite you to the next conference. That's our Success Conference here in Plano, Texas, January 20th and 21st. This is going to provide all the tools you need to help you succeed in life, in ministry, or business. My special guests this year include Esther Federkevich. She is one of the best literary agents, publishing experts. My other guest is Billy Epperhart. Now, he is an amazing success teacher. He teaches at Andrew Womack's Business School, and he's going to help you learn how to build wealth. Now, you have to register quickly. I believe we're going to sell out again this year. Space is limited. Tickets are going to sell out fast, so be sure and register for the next conference.